when we go live.
Hey, Bill, let us know when we go live.
Yeah, I can't see you because I'm on the Facebook page right now.
I'm gonna try to find it.
My hair doesn't look as good as Joe's does, man. What the fuck, man?
Listen,
How you getting a haircut, Joe? What are you doing?
listen, you know what I did? It's hysterical. I gotta show you the video. I'm gonna send it to you. You know, remember that Reservoir Dogs scene where they end up, he has the cop and Mike Madsen is doing the dance and he cuts his hair off?
Yeah.
We did the exact same thing. My girlfriend was walking around with the clippers.
All right, you guys, you're live. You're live.
We're live. We are officially live.
We're live.
What's up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark DeMeo. I'm here with my co-host, my partner in all things law enforcement, Bill Cannon. What's up, Bill?
You know, it's strange. We're doing more of these shows. We haven't been back in the studio since the beginning of March. So this has been our studio, Zoom, you know?
Yeah, but it's coming, though. It's coming. We're very close. We're very close.
I'd like to see the studio.
We have a special guest. He's a retired NYPD. You were a detective, right?
No, a police officer. Once I knocked out the detective, they said, you're not getting promoted.
All right, so I thought maybe you got promoted for knocking him out. No, he was a retired New York City police officer. While he was on the job, he got his law degree. He's been a lawyer ever since. He has a very thriving practice right there on Queens Boulevard, at the Queens Criminal, right by the Queens Criminal Court. If you ever get jammed up, you get in trouble, you need a good lawyer. The guy you want to call is our guest today, Joe Murray.
Hello, fellas.
Joe Murray also ran for Queens DA. He had a very successful campaign. And, you know, he's on the forefront right now because, you're in the middle of basically suing our governor, Andrew Cuomo.
That's right.
Just so we know, what are the grounds for this lawsuit against the governor?
Well, the lawsuit is twofold. We have what we call state defendants and federal defendants. The state defendants are the governor because of his executive orders, we believe are unconstitutional. They're an overreach. I'll get into that. There's a lot of good stuff that we found that we're attacking him on. And then we have the federal defendants because my client, the plaintiff who owns this club, it's a strip club, they're ineligible to receive any of that CARES Act PPP money. So
hey, these strippers got to eat too, man.
I couldn't hear you.
I said the strippers got to eat too.
Listen, you know, and it's not just strippers. I mean, they got bartenders, managers, security, like this.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just care about the strippers. I want to make sure they're okay.
You know, I saw something that there's some, you know, like Uber Eats, they have something called Boober Eats, where the strippers, because they can't work in the club, are now doing delivery of food in their outfits.
That's great, man. That's a great idea.
Approach, right?
That's good old American innovation.
There you go, right?
Yeah, really, we're a relentless bunch. Uber Eats.
Defendants, we're going after the federal government, Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, the SBA, because they have these archaic rules that don't allow.
Wait a minute, he's involved in it?
No, the Small Business Administration.
It's the Small Business Administration.
Not the Sergeants Benevolent Association. Let's make that clear.
No, what I'm saying is the Steve Mnuchin, the guy from, you know, under Trump over there, he's the guy that's involved in this too?
Only because, you know, of his position. He really has nothing to do with it, and it won't affect him. It's really that the SBA regulations that we're going after, but you have to, you know, name everyone.
But Joe, you have some history with the governor too. Didn't he sue you when you were a cop?
I do. I have a very unique history, and I just can't wait till this thing, you know, kicks into.
Well, maybe if they put both Cuomo brothers in the gym, you can knock them both out.
So yeah, it was back in.
What happens right now? I mean, take us through what happens right now. So collectively, you've joined forces with. Well, I guess you got hired as the attorney for the strip club.
Well, I have an office in the back there, so I have an interest to get it to open. Only
No,
You've
but
never been in a strip club before, have you, Joe?
no, never.
Never, right?
No, he's such a great guy. The guy that owns this club. We work out together. We train together. He broke my nose sparring. Tough guy. But he's a hard worker. And, you know, he's had this club since 97. He put a lot into it. And he's just now falling apart because obviously the carrying cost, the rent, the insurance, that all has to be paid.
Joe, let me ask you something quick. Look, obviously, we're in that age group. Maybe we're a little more at risk to get the coronavirus than younger people. But why has it become so political? Why does the left want to stay shut forever and the right wants to open up right now?
I think, and this is my opinion, I think it has to do with the election. They have tried every possible way to unseat this president, and they've been unsuccessful. So I think they're doing this just to affect the election, to prevent the campaigning. I mean, look at Biden, he's hiding in his basement and he's gaining in the polls somehow. I have no idea.
Yeah, but that's false polls because they did the same thing the last time.
So what if I get this correctly, you believe that the Democrats are willing to destroy our economy and people's livelihood and destroy business, small business, altogether throughout the country, just so they win this election coming up in November?
I say that without hesitation.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I've never seen, you guys, you know, feel free to comment. Have you ever seen so much vitriol and hate for a president? Like, it's not like we have a choice and we're going to choose and who do I like better. It's either you like them or you hate them. I've never seen politics so bad.
Yeah,
it is today. I mean, have you?
And the fact that they're willing to elect a guy that has onset of dementia, and they're willing to elect him.
Well, I mean, I have a theory on that, by the way. I don't think he's going to make it to the end, and I think they're going to have to come up. They're going to figure out a way. Either he bows out, you know, because he's going to admit that he's not fit, and then they're going to sneak in another candidate. And I even had this idea that Cuomo was probably the guy who might be touted to jump in at the very, very end, because this way you can't do too much scrutiny on somebody's background. There's a reason
at the last minute like that.
Yeah. There's a reason why this guy hasn't run for president. He's been governor of New York for fucking 10 years. You know what I'm saying? He's got something there that'll come out on the next level, but you'll never be able to be able to get to it. You won't be able to get to it.
He has something called the record. He has a record.
Won't be able
his
to.
record as governor sucks. But everyone thinks he's a brilliant PowerPoint presenter, you know?
I just can't.
He won't be able to be completely vetted in that short amount of time. And I guarantee you, this is another crazy theory. You can, if you believe me or not, but I have a feeling like his running mate is going to be Michelle Obama, and that's going to be the ticket. That's what they're hoping for. Now, if you follow me on that train of thought, then that's why we're already, you know, creating this scenario with what happened here in New York with the nursing homes and the deaths that happened there and the incompetence between not knowing where your ventilators are and who's stealing your face masks. And if that is the person that they wanted, I also have another, follow me one more time. I have a feeling like he's, I forget the word right now, but let's just say Patsy, like he's the guy that they're showing the Democrats that they might want, but they really have somebody else.
Right.
So we're going to, that's why they're not really trying to destroy Cuomo too bad right now. It's coming out bits and pieces, but I have a feeling like there's somebody in the wings. It might even be Bernie Sanders that they pull out right at the very end.
Wow.
You know, and this whole time they're talking about how he's going to behave himself and recreate himself, and he's not going to be quite the socialist he was.
I don't know.
Does it sound crazy what I said?
It's not crazy. It's not crazy. I mean, I think, you know, I can see that path, you know, that's where they're at. And it's so sad in the United States of America that we are so polarized. And I think this president is doing a great job, and he's uncovered so much corruption and misconduct in the government. You know, I think he's taking on all the big issues that I thought were important, the foreign trade and the border and immigration. So
I mean,
I think it's a great opportunity right now if he could win this next election to save us, because we're in trouble.
yeah.
Our civil rights and our freedoms. You know, remember we were on the job, there was constantly protests, and the ACLU, they would come out and support the KKK, and they have a right to march just like everyone else. Where are they? There are 175,000 lawyers in New York State. Where are they? Why isn't anyone filing these challenges to what's happened?
Well, Shakespeare said,
Disagree.
no, Shakespeare said to kill all the lawyers. Maybe they did.
No, but I mean, come on. We all don't agree. So the people that disagree should voice their concern and take action. Like my client, the two of us are actually Peter Krusco. I don't know if you know Pete. He was the executive ADA in charge of investigations in Queens. Great guy, sharp lawyer. He jumped in on this with me, and I feel pretty good about it. We have a lot of good stuff, and I'm happy to share it with you.
But Joe, is it a much bigger case than this strip club? It's issues saying, like, for example, once you lose a right, or once the government can intrude on you, they don't give that back to you. That's forever, right?
They're reluctant to give it back to you, but that's our job, as we the people. It's our government. We have to make it happen. If we sit back on our hands, they'll do what they want.
Right.
That's why we have to go to the courts, and we have to push back.
When do you think this was, how far back do you think this goes? Like this idea of, you know what, we could really destroy this economy so bad that he's not going to be able to use that as a platform.
That's all we kept hearing is, all right, the economy. I'm sure that's what their whole thing was. We have to upset this economy somehow, some way. Otherwise, he's going to be elected.
So do you think that people will forget how good the economy was? Is that the idea, that it'll be so bad?
I'm a little concerned because I haven't applied for any of that money. I'm actually working. So, but I've been hearing from a lot of people that they get unemployment from the state, they get the federal money, that some of them are doing better than they did when they were working.
A lot of them. They don't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing.
They don't want to go back. The businesses are opening up. They're saying, come back. They're like, no, I'm scared. Everybody's freaking scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared to go back.
You know what, Joe, what I thought was funny? 40% of all the people that live in Manhattan, they fled to their second homes. And that's why Manhattan's so empty, because all the rich people fled. And then the Hamptons and Montauk, they're like, oh, we don't want them there. It's all right to rape them during the summer. But now they're there, right? It's all right to price gouge the shit out of them in the summer. But now they're here early. We don't want them here,
I mean, if you own a piece of property somewhere, you have every right to go there. But you got to, in the beginning, you should have picked a place and stay there. This thing about going back and forth and coming home on the weekends just to check the mail, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that was kind of counterproductive. But then again, we're in a situation where it's do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And you could tell that from all the politicians. I mean, this freaking guy, they're all doing something. Most people that have money are going about their lives like nothing ever happened.
Somebody had told me a story. I haven't yet been able to verify it. If I can, I'm going to get an affidavit to bring with me. That Cuomo, when he originally did the shutdown, he shut down, obviously marinas were shut down. Well, he has a boat, and he went to go pick up his boat, and they were at the marina and said, look, I'm sorry, we're closed. He goes, no, that's my boat. I want my boat. He's like, I know it's your boat, but I don't even have the people here to give it to you. 2 days later, he opened up marinas.
Hey, Joe, it was Bazzini all along. It was Bazzini.
Listen, it's good to be the king.
Sonny got mad. We hit Bruno Tattaglia at 6 o'clock this morning.
Everybody got caught though. The one lady, Chicago, getting a haircut. I think she's from Chicago. The other one had to get her nails done. It's who's going, whose family's traveling somewhere else.
Thomas golfing.
At the
I
same
know,
time,
how great is that, right?
and Joe, at the same time, they're emptying the jails and the prisons of the non-violent guys. The PBA just sent out a tweet. 1 out of 6 of the shooters is a parolee, and 1 out of 7 of parolees are the shooting victims.
Here's the problem, though, Bill. This is what really drives me nuts. January 1st, the new no cash bail law came into effect. That meant that all of those enumerated charges, including Rob 2 and Bird 2, they all got released. You cannot ask for cash bail anymore on all those crimes, supposedly the non-violent crimes.
Right.
So what was left in Rikers after January 1st? The violent criminals.
Right.
And now we're releasing them. And what really bugs me, and this is the lack of leadership, the Army Corps of Engineers came into the Javits Center. In 1 week, they created a 1,000-bed COVID hospital. We have so many empty jails on Rikers Island. You know, when we were on the job, there were 20,000 inmates. Now they got 4 or 5.
Right.
We went in there, refurbished one of those structures, made it a COVID inmate facility, and then take another one for the vulnerable population to isolate them. Why did they have to endanger us and release them?
And then the real violent ones, and you can just have gladiator fights.
Hey, do you think that those people were released so they can vote? I mean, why? What's the sense of having them out other than I can't see any other reason?
I got to tell you, during the campaign, the whole issue of closing Rikers Island was ongoing, and I went down to the committee hearing where there were 8 members of the city council would vote in the committee to send it to the full council. So they all voted yes, but when they vote, they have to explain their vote, and they get up and say how wonderful this is, but this is only the first step to ending all jails and all prisons, because people don't belong in prison. People don't belong in cages. That was what they said.
Yeah.
And they went on and said, there's no such thing as criminals. These are victims. These victims need programs. They need hot cocoa and art classes. We're
They've been reading too much Tolstoy.
It blows my mind. I'm like, am I really listening to this? So that's the plan. The plan has always been to empty these jails.
Yeah.
And
I think they have to have some brain surgeons do some research on the brain of a liberal.
you know, we had bail reform. Now we're going to have parole reform, where there's a new bill in there that says as long as you have 15 years in and you're 55 years old, you're automatically parole eligible. Think about all of those widows who every 2 years they have to go to the parole board to fight and oppose, you know, the person that murdered their husband or father, you know, and now after 15 years, they're going to have to start doing that and making that trek. It's ridiculous.
Hey, let me ask you, Joe, let's go back a little bit to this lawsuit that you're part of.
Right.
Take me like how, I know the wheels of justice move very slowly, but take me through like what is the process of something like this? Now that you've collectively decided to draw up this lawsuit and it goes into court and it becomes public knowledge that you have a lawsuit, what happens after that?
Okay, so what we're doing is we filed an amended complaint because I found some great issues that I have not seen anyone raise before, but I think they're very good issues. So we're filing an amended complaint. On top of that, we're asking for a TRO, a temporary restraining order. That is going to be decided right away. The judge looks at it on its merits, and then we'll make a decision.
And that temporary restraining order is for this these businesses that are closed down and all these other?
Only for my client. It's only for my client.
Okay.
I have to show the imminent harm that he's going to suffer, irreparable harm,
Okay.
if this is not reversed right away. Then the judge will put it out for a week or two to have a hearing on it.
Does the judge get like a folder with all the strippers' pictures in there so he can evaluate if he really wants to keep this business out of?
She actually asked for the surveillance footage to see if I was there. Yeah, so
That would be helpful. You should put a little packet together for him. Maybe he could get free access to their fans only sites. You know what that is?
No.
Well, if right now, like let's say if you're on Instagram and you like an Instagram model, for example, and she's showing you, herself half naked. If you want to see the other half of her naked, then she has what's called a fans only. So you'll go over there, and then it's from that point on, it's pay. I don't know how much it is. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah,
but
you
I
know
am
a lot
aware.
about this stuff.
I mean, he
knows a hell of a lot too much about this shit.
Listen, I'm almost finished with YouPorn. So I'm like 200,000 videos away, and then I'm done with YouPorn. And then I might tap into it. But for right now, I still have a lot of stuff I got to get through.
All right.
Well, let me ask you one thing now too.
Yeah.
A big thing is with the police department is that this social distancing thing and wearing masks, it's obviously not a law. So it's like an edict sort of from the governor and the mayor. And it's to ask the police to enforce that is really an overreach, because
Well, let me just clarify something, because I haven't dealt with any cases in the city yet, but I have a colleague of mine who has. There were some protesters that were arrested, and he's really done a great job working it up. There is an administrative code violation that was enacted that they're charging them with. It's a real statute.
right.
It's not just.
But just so the people don't know, administrative code is not a crime. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony.
Code, but it still has teeth.
Right. It has teeth. But we're letting people out of jails and prisons that committed crimes, but we're going to lock people up for an administrative code for not wearing a mask.
That's the absolute worst. I mean,
It's
we're
outrageous.
violent offenders out, and we're locking up good people.
I think they should get the ACLU to enforce this.
Well, I gotta tell you, in this country, and I try to, being a lawyer, the law is based on logic. So you look for similar circumstances, you try to make comparable and analogous situations. So in this country, we're allowed to engage in high-risk behavior. If you want to go skydiving and jump out of an airplane, you can. It's very high risk. I've never done it. I don't really feel the urge to do it. But if somebody wants to, they can. Base jumping. These guys jump off of.
Right. Mark and I tell jokes at comedy clubs.
That's a hazardous. But you're
It's not
allowed
dangerous for him. It's more dangerous for me. He's
to
better than me.
engage in hazardous, activities. So the myth that they're putting forth with this whole shutdown is you're not allowed to engage in high-risk behavior. I dare anyone to say that that's the justification. You are allowed. And what I say to people who constantly tell me, you don't have a right to kill me, like, you're absolutely right, which is why you have a right to stay home or come out with the appropriate protection that you feel safe.
Right.
I don't have the virus. I've been tested. I am no threat to anyone. Why?
I heard that the virus won't go in after lawyers.
It doesn't.
It's very
Hey, Joe,
We're toxic.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Do you wear a mask?
Only because I am a lawyer, and the last thing I want to do is get arrested right now in the midst of this case. I'll wear it where it's appropriate. If I'm in a large area, I don't have a mask. I have like a scarf. Do you have that thing? Bandana. Could you grab it? So I'll just.
Does it say ABA on the front?
Because in my building, I have this where I live, where there are a lot of older people, and I can see that you know, it's unsettling to them. So I put my little bandana on.
Oh shit! All you have to say is stick them up.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me that you have a Mustang waiting for you outside.
But no, I do feel bad because there are a lot of older and vulnerable people in my building. So why I don't think it's necessary, and I don't have the virus and I'm healthy and fine, I want to give them that comfort because we get into the elevator together.
No, it's reasonable. It's reasonable, especially under the circumstances.
Right.
And what we're talking about right now is semantics, because you're supposed to try your best not only to protect yourself, but to not harm others.
Right.
But the problem becomes when, you know, you're harming others. Like they keep saying this one saying, when the cure is worse than the illness, I guess, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So many people's lives are getting destroyed right now. And because they did the right thing and they trusted the government, and now it looks like several states, I mean, not several, but a lot of states are choosing to, like you said, overreach, government overreach. It seems like they're just trying to destroy it for no reason.
I mean, the case law going back to other quarantines because of epidemics, the case law is that you have a right, the government has a right to quarantine someone who is sick, to isolate them and keep them away to protect the rest of the population. That's appropriate. I wouldn't fight that. But to now, in the United States, the last time I looked at the CDC, I think it was 1.3 or 1.4 million people have it, recovered from it, had the virus, right? There's 328 million people. What about the other 327 healthy people, 127 million healthy people? Why do you have to suffer for this?
I read somewhere that it's you need like 60 or 70% of the population to have been infected for this thing to die. So the isolation thing at this point right now is counterproductive. The idea was to flatten the curve until the hospitals caught up, and now they're caught up. You know, the guy from I'm just regurgitating what the guy from Barstool said, but he made a lot of sense, by the way. And if you haven't seen that video, you should watch it. He makes a lot of sense. And at this point right now, it's, what are we doing? If I went to a restaurant and I walk in and I see a rat, or I see cockroaches, or I see unhealthy eating environment, what I consider, I'm going to leave.
Right.
Because I'm adult and I know what I'm doing.
Right.
So if you walk into a restaurant and nobody's practicing the social distancing, or, you know, the waiters aren't wearing a mask, whatever you feel is appropriate, you could always leave. You don't have to eat there.
That's what it means to be in a free country. You can get up and walk out and go somewhere else. And that's what's so shocking to me, why we can't do that.
Well, what's shocking to me is the sheep, how everybody's become a sheep. They come out.
When has the government ever been better at doing something than we are outside of the military? You know what I mean? Everything they touch, they screw up. I know.
But Joe, again, it comes back to, why are people on the left thinking we should stay in our house for another 6 months? But people on the right are like, well, all right, we've had it. We want to go back out. We get it. You know, we'll social distance. We want to go back out. Why has it become so political?
Well, here's the problem where a lot of people don't realize. They're looking at Governor Cuomo's arbitrary dates that he's, okay, we'll do it April, whatever, May 15th, June. He's only allowed by the statute to extend it 30 days at a time. So it's a false sense of security that you think, okay, it's almost done, the deadline's coming. No, he's just gonna keep bumping it and bumping it. I mean, that's the problem here. And people looking at it, I've had people call me up about the laws, I want to join and do it, like, yeah, but it's gonna end, you know, June 6th or whatever. Like, no, it's not. You wait until June rolls around.
So Joe, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that we should all be cured and done with this on November 4th, right?
Yes. No, actually, the day after we'll be cured.
What is it? November 3rd is the election?
Yeah, I forget the third or the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the fourth is the day that we're rid of. Well, depending, it all depends on who wins.
Yeah. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's sad though. I mean, I
No, Joe, what I hate is when they say, I believe in science. As if, oh, I don't, because I'm a little conservative. I don't
It's
believe
the
in
problem though too. Is just
You
that
know?
it keeps changing the science.
yeah.
You have you collected. There's so don't wear a mask. You don't have to. It's okay to socialize. You can be in. Then 2 days later, everybody has to stay home. Oh, and now you have to wear a mask. So
Right.
it's like, you can't lie to the people and then change your mind. You at the risk of looking like you're not really 100% sure what's going on. So nobody really knows for sure what's going on.
Well, the big numbers of the new people that tested positive had sheltered in place and had quarantined.
Right.
They were baffled, like, how did they test
What?
positive? They did everything.
You know
we
what?
asked them to do.
Since we got you, Joe, and I know you're such a big fan of Cuomo. What do you think about what's going to be the repercussions of this whole thing with the hospital? I mean, with the nursing homes.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm trying to gather some of the facts and try to find out, like get the good numbers. And I'm going to be drafting. There's something in County Law 701 which allows the chief judge of that county to appoint a special district attorney to investigate cases like that or something where there's a conflict of interest. I'm sure every one of these DAs has a conflict with the big ragu over there. So, and they wouldn't want to be adverse to him. His reputation as being a bully intimidates people. So it'd be so much easier to just sign off and find someone who really doesn't care about what a bully he is. Judge, if you're watching, and I just happened to be available to conduct this investigation into the nursing homes. And I would investigate.
Well, he passed the buck. He passed the buck. He admitted that he was wrong on television. But now when he has to answer the questions, he keeps saying, well, I was following what the president said in the CDC.
What a weasel, right?
Isn't that just so convenient? But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize he's saying he was following the president and the CDC. Well, when the president was talking about hydroxychloroquine and how good it was and it was getting results, he issued an executive order prohibiting pharmacies from distributing it to anyone other than the FDA approved use for it. So you had no problem going against the president when he was touting the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine. But
Right.
when it came to the nursing homes, it's so hypocritical. And here he is releasing inmates because he's worried about them being in this closed confined area. Yeah. Oh, but the old folks, we don't need them. Don't worry.
Joe, I loved when he said, you want to blame it on someone, blame it on me. Then all of a sudden he realizes, he's like, oh, don't blame it on me. All of a sudden he's not a tough guy anymore,
and now he altered the counting now. From what I understand, as it was reported, they no longer count as a nursing home death someone who's sick and critical and has to go to a hospital and dies in the hospital. They no longer count that as a nursing home death when in fact it really is, because that's where they became gravely ill. So you want to know where the hot spots are. If you're not going to count them, you're not going to know.
Well, Joe, nationally, 42% of the COVID deaths are nursing homes. 42%.
Very disturbing. But I looked at some of the numbers. In New York State, it's so expensive for these, Medicaid state-run facilities where a lot of people are, and a lot of the people who died were. So, like on average, it's like 11,000 and change per month per person. So when you add that up, 5,400 people, you're in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Is it possible that that's what he's thinking? Let me release all these inmates and let me, not worry about them getting sick. He also gave civil and criminal immunity to the healthcare workers. What is he doing? You know, I just think it's criminal what he did. He set the stage for the worst possible outcome, and they didn't have a chance.
Joe, Dan Bibb is on the air. He said to say hello to all of us.
Hey, Dan.
Your compadre.
Great guy. Dan's a great guy. I tried.
Dan worked with Andy Cuomo. That's what he calls him. He worked with Andy Cuomo and he played basketball against him on Irving Place. And Andy wouldn't go to the bar after because he didn't want to buy a round.
So Andy worked at the Manhattan DA's office.
Yes.
Was there. It was right after he left there that he sued me. He was in private practice for a short period. Then I think he went to HUD.
Why did he sue you?
It was a stupid case. I mean, I made a car stop. It was on Houston and Allen, I think. And it was a red light. So I pulled this Jeep over and it was a young lady in there. So I don't think she had her license. So I run her license. But she had a name that was not clear, masculine or feminine, you know, like now that I think about it, you know, after the fact. So I ran the name and the dispatcher says, oh, we got a warrant, gave a general description. I was like, okay, I told her. She was terrified. She was like, what do you mean I got a warrant? I was like, look, we'll just go back to the precinct, check it out, see if it's you. So I bring it back to the precinct. I'm searching on the SP9 there, trying to get the warrant. I can't find the warrant. So I call the dispatcher. I'm like, where's this warrant? She's like, I got it right in front of me. I'm like, give it to me again. What do you have there? She says, oh, I have a male white, 6 foot. I was like, whoa, you got a male? I got a female. So I cleared the warrant.
Little problem.
I cleared the warrant, gave her the summons, and let her go.
Yeah.
Detained for 20 minutes. And he sues me. So it got dismissed.
Yeah.
But it was just comical.
Have you ever run into him since?
No. Well, I tried to get him during the Columbus Day parade. I was down there. It was during the campaign. I was trying to get over there. So I'm waiting for that light bulb moment when he realizes it's me.
Dan Bibb said he was a pretty good basketball player, but he was a sore loser.
Not a shocker to me. I don't know. Dan's a good guy. I tried this case in federal court. The first federal trial I had. It was a good case. We were in front of Judge Sterling Johnson, who, I don't know if you know, he used to be
narcotics, right?
He was a police officer, narcotics.
Yeah.
So just a funny story. Like after he got convicted, but our goal going in there was to like lessen the fall for him. So I'm at the sentencing and I'm talking to the judge. I'm like, wow, Judge, it was great, you know, working with you for my first trial, whatever. So then the U.S. attorney was there with his supervisor. He says, you know, Judge, it was a pleasurable trial. I enjoyed working with Mr. Murray. It was my first trial too. So then my client leans over and he goes, hey, Judge, it was my first trial too. So he gave 1 year probation, you know, concurrent on each charge. It was great.
Hey, Joe, what do you think about that? The head of the medical thing for the city that made that comment about
Oh my God. Can you believe that? Is that so indicative of this de Blasio administration?
Oh, yeah. Well, why does she still have a job?
Because she's doing what he wants her to do. That's the disdain that he, his wife, they all have for us.
Yeah.
It's
I
shocking.
was thinking also, though, if you would have went back 20 years and that same person said that to Louis Anemone, would she have left in tears?
Yeah.
Would he have reduced her to about 2 feet tall?
Absolutely.
I don't know what,
It's just outrageous. And to tolerate something like that, I mean, your first responders, your police that you constantly throw into harm's way with this social distancing, as if we don't have a PR problem already. And now you're throwing cops into this unwinnable situation, trying to force people.
He said that the beaches are going to be closed, and he's got some fences there just in case people try to get in the water.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, at best, what is a beach detail look like? And for our fans who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a certain amount of cops who are going to be pulled out of their respective police commands where they work, and then they're going to be shipped down to work for the whole summer at Coney Island or at Rockaway or at Brighton or Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
These are beaches that span that whole coastline there, heading out to Long Island. And you have hundreds of thousands of people going to these beaches. Now, what's going to happen when there's a lot of people that want to go on the beach and there's 25 cops that are going to tell them they can't?
I was talking about this with a friend yesterday, and just from bantering back and forth, we were like, you know what? I would probably be disbarred for suggesting it, because as a lawyer, you can't advocate for people to commit crimes. But I believe there's got to come a point in time where the people come together. Let's pick a date. So like,
well, just so you don't say it, I'll say it because I'm not a lawyer. There has to be a time where the people come together and say, fuck this.
Yes.
I'm going on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
And listen, I had this idea and I want to run it past you because obviously because you're an attorney. But I was thinking, why don't these businesses form a coalition? So for example, if you're a business and you're on First Avenue, why not take between 50th Street and First Avenue and 60th Street, take all the businesses that are shut down right now. We hire a lawyer like Joe Murray, who's great, and we form a coalition and we all open up on the same day. And all our summonses go to that one lawyer and he's going to go fight him in court. And in the meantime, we start a lawsuit. And it's all of us. And you do that chunks all over the city where you form a coalition, you get a lawyer, you get an attorney, an office, and you just, and all together collectively.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I think you won't get 100% compliance is because some of these businesses were so close to going under before that they're just riding it right now just to get this, whatever money's going to come to them. And then they're not going to open anymore anyway.
Well, because unfortunately, they put the police in the middle of this. They're going to ask them to enforce this administrative code violation, right? It's like when cops were ordered to do stop, question, and frisk. And you see what the disaster that was. And then the politicians walk away and smelling like a rose, like, well, Bloomberg, he was the cause of that with Ray Kelly, the overinflated stop, question, and frisk. And as a result, the police had to live with the wrath of the community from that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember I was in a 115 and I turned in my report, whenever I get it back. Jimmy Hall was the CO at the time. And it has big letters on the back of it, no 250s. I was like, no 250s. Like, what are you saying? And I have to go get them if I don't encounter someone that I stop and toss? Now you're telling me I have to go find people? That's bread.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end right there.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, what do you think about the idea for the coalition or coalitions?
Brilliant. And they already have these business districts. I think they call them.
I know, they already have them. All they have to do is, whatever coalition you're part of, hire a lawyer.
I am just so amazed. I am just baffled. There are 175,000 lawyers who are sitting at home. They're sitting at home. They could do it from home. Why?
Yeah, here's the thing too. If you just take a moment to think about this, New York City has a law, and mind you, I'm an idiot, but I think I might have this correct. New York City has this law where if you're a business and the lease is up, you're allowed to collect what is the going rate for your business for that amount of real estate in that area. And if you can't match that, you can stay shut until you can. And in the meantime, you'll get a tax reduction for that property. So if that's the case, then we're fucked, because you're going to walk around all through New York City and there's just going to be nothing but abandoned commercial real estate. Those people that was barely staying afloat, took their money and ran. They'll probably open up another business somewhere down the line. That's vacant real estate. The person's not going to fill it because they're waiting for what used to be the value of this neighborhood now that's collapsed.
Yeah.
But they still have this tax structure where they don't have to put people in and vacate the premises because they're getting a tax break on the property.
Exactly. You know, during the campaign when I was doing the Columbus Parade and stuff, I don't really go to Astoria that much. I couldn't believe
Steinway.
Clay Street.
Steinway.
The closed stores.
Yeah, but I don't understand Steinway, for example, because I grew up in Astoria. I just don't understand why those businesses are vacant there, because people still would shop there. Why would you want to go to Queens Mall when you could just go to Steinway? You know what I'm saying? It has to be because of that law.
No, but that's not what killed the brick and mortar. What killed the brick and mortar is people ordering online from Amazon.
Yeah, but still, man, you got businesses up there, and it shouldn't be like that. And I guarantee you, they're all waiting for Apple to come through, or they're all waiting for, you know, these huge companies to take their storefront, and in the meantime, they're just going to sit and let this place rot.
AOC and those other clowns, they didn't let that big business deal go down in Queens, right? They voted it down.
That would have brought a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Big jobs too, big jobs.
But you know, how do you guys feel about the fact that these big box stores are doing phenomenal now because they've eliminated their competition from the little guys?
Yeah, no small business.
Yeah. Me personally, I will never go into those stores again if I don't have to, because of what I think is just unfair. And you know what? When I think about it, maybe these are the guys who are donating all the money. I want to start checking the campaign finance. And
yeah, it's interesting because
where there's money to allow these big stores who are making sure this shutdown stays as long as possible.
And shame on these people that are so comfortable with collecting their unemployment and just so comfortable with staying home. You know, they come out at 7 o'clock at night, woo, for the frontline workers. And don't get me wrong, they deserve all the accolades. Right. But unless you're walking down the street collecting them, who the fuck are you screaming for? You know what I'm saying? We get it. You did it. Right. You take your kids out. That's the one time a day they see the sunlight. What the fuck is going on here? What is going on here that's your one time out? You're okay with coming out once during the day.
Well, now think about the consequences. Where is the money gonna come from to now make up for all this spending that they're doing? I mean, de Blasio is just spending money hand over fist, putting people in hotels and food, and you know, like you're helping people, but
no, he said,
where is the money going to come from?
He said he wanted $8.4 billion, or he's not going to be able to open up the city, holding the federal government hostage.
Yeah.
Or is he going to start dipping into the only asset they have, the pension funds?
They can't let them touch that. They've tried to touch that before. You know, I don't think that Cuomo has made the state pension contribution since 2015. They're supposed to put in X amount a year. He doesn't do it.
I couldn't understand when this thing really hit and the market was dropping. Our controller, DiNapoli, who I thought was a decent guy, he takes $50 million out of the pension fund to put towards the small business loans. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist when it comes to finance, but when you take $50 million out after the market dropped, 10,000 points, and are we going to get that money back? These are small businesses who may end up going under.
Right.
So what is that going to do to the pension fund? Why do they always mess with the pension fund? It's just scary.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's one of the end results is to get to a point where you break this. I don't know the legality of it, but I just know that how many millions of people are former firemen, cops, EMS, corrections,
teachers too.
But here's what I want to I'm not doing this purposely to scare you, but think about this. A lot of our retirees, a lot of our members move on. They go down south, they move out. So just take a step back and look at the macro approach here. There are millions of dollars leaving New York City and New York State every month, the first of the month, direct deposited into other jurisdictions that are staying there. They're spending it there. So, and they can't vote here. So now you've given, the elected officials here somewhat of an incentive, because you have no say over what they do anymore because you're out of state. Money's going out of state, it's not staying here. So, it's kind of like—
There's no retirees moving over here to New York. You know what I'm saying? There's not like an abundance of North Carolina cops moving to New York.
I just think
cop
that
in Alabama coming to New York.
It's a dangerous scenario where because if there were enough people here to fight about it and vote them out, but we can't.
And they're living longer. I mean, cops are living longer. It's not like it used to be that he retired. If you lived 5 years after that, it was a lot.
Hey, remember when you first came on the job, the old timers would say, "Hey, take a pension loan every 6 months. It's your money." That was the worst advice you could have ever gotten, right?
Yeah. But we all did it.
I stopped doing it after a while. I was like, wait.
Not me. I took one right to the end.
I made sure that I cleared mine up though before I retired. You got to do that.
Smoke as many cigarettes as you can. Be overweight. Drink after work, and take a pension loan every 6 months.
Yeah, that's it. That was the logic.
So, hey, let me ask you, Joe. So your work? How do you keep busy now? Like, what is your day like?
Are you kidding me? I'm like going around the clock. I did we do this Skype arraignments now. Someone gets arrested, which is incredible. I do it right from home. First, they call you up. You send your notice in that you represent so-and-so. They put him into a pen with a camera, and it's, secured, so it's just us, confidential. I talk to the client, explain what happened, then I tell him, what to expect when we go for the arraignment. And then they plug you in just like this. You have the judge, you have the DA, you have the court clerk.
Do you do the arraignment in front of that flag like you're patent?
Yeah, this is my office.
No one ever won a war.
That's right. So so I'm busy. I'm doing a lot of stuff, a lot of research. Like, this is what I love about my job. Like, I can sink my teeth into issues like this. I have to go around the clock trying to find stuff, ways to attack him. But I mean, part of it was a little painful because to study what's happening, I have to look at all his stupid press conference videos, with my gag.
Like, tough to watch, man.
Him talking about his meatballs and
yeah.
Watch, man.
Every old woman is important. He said that a month ago. Now it's like, hey, fuck them, they're dying. Hey, what can I do?
He really said that. He really said, "Hey, old people die. What are you gonna do?"
I was like, hey, people die. That's
every person's important, and now all of a sudden it's like, old people die. What are you gonna do?
All of a sudden he's not responsible. People die. That's
really.
You'll be born, you die.
So
anybody was born to be a politician, man. He's got it in his DNA. That fuck.
Yeah, he's
something. What's my boat? Hey, what do you mean that's closed?
I honestly, man, I had a lot more respect for his dad. I really did. I don't know, even though I was a younger person at that time, and you mentioned how everybody seems to have an opinion on politics. I wasn't really thinking about politics when I was that young. Yeah. I remember him being the governor, and I remember him, seeming like a pretty decent guy.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this guy is something else. That whole Moreland Commission that he impaneled, but when they got too close to him, okay, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
Like the guy is just so obvious.
Well, yeah, I think
so many phone calls from people who are giving me little information about stuff he's been involved in, and look at this.
I think there's a whole cachet of stuff that would come out if he did actually run for president.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there waiting. When you want to get up to the big table and play poker with the big boys.
just the
It can't
fact
be
that
bigger
you
than
go for a
mine.
drink.
I'm waiting to get Kavanaugh and, you know, all the girls from Midtown North and, you know, they're all gonna be calling up. So I'm getting ready.
Are you like famous for this now, Joe? Everyone wants you on their talk show?
It really is. I've been, you know, getting so many calls doing these podcasts and stuff like that, which is great. I love it because I want people to start standing up. We don't need the government to tell us what to do all the time. We are intelligent and can protect ourselves and be careful and be courteous. We don't need to be snapped in the nose with a newspaper. I mean, it's just so upsetting to me that we're losing our freedom. We really are. They're taking.
Well, even as far as the Second Amendment, he passed that. He threw that in with a budget, the SAFE Act, right? And really, the SAFE Act is targeting law enforcement. We can't.
Well, now with the insurance thing, right? They want to add insurance to try to price you out.
They try to price you out of owning having a gun permit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also too, I mean, if you look at that ridiculous package that the Democrats put forth, the Congress put forth, included in that package was money going towards sanctuary states so they can fight the federal government. I mean, how stupid is that? It's like the federal government is going to give you money to fight the federal government. What the fuck is that? It's so stupid.
It's a $3 trillion, you know, bill to help us, to give us money. But why does it have 1,800 pages? If you're just giving us money, I could do that in 5 pages.
Yeah.
Where's
it's just the anything that you could possibly sneak in there. Well, not even sneak in. I guess at some point you figure, because, you know, like if you write a script or something like that, or if you're, let's say you're going to appear on a nightly show as a comedian, you'll give them, you know, 10 jokes, you know, 7 of them, which you know are not going to be able to make the air. So they're going to take those 3 jokes and that's what's going to be your set, which was what you really wanted to do anyway.
Right.
So if they sneak in all this garbage, they're going to get left with something in there. There's going to be, and it all has to do with the mail ballot, the mail ballots, mail-in ballots, and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying?
Undo Trump. From day one, that's been the mission. Let's recall Trump. Let's overturn the election. Let's impeach him. Let's scandalize him. Let's do anything.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, it could just be like, you know, you're gonna lose what used to be like a politician or these career politicians, when somebody who was a businessman that, you know, made money, that, you know, you could see like on a piece of paper or a check that was written to him that earned money. I mean, how many of these people that have been in politics for so many years, you know, have ever earned a penny legitimately outside of politics?
Yeah.
You know, they never owned a business. I always think that you should have a vested interest in your community. You know, you should own a piece of property, own a business.
Term limits is a dirty word, just as tort reform. Tort reform is a dirty word to attorneys, right?
But you know,
don't do a tap dance.
No, but listen, when you talk about, I don't do a lot of civil stuff, but I'm doing more. But my thinking is, it comes down to a jury. It comes down to you, the taxpayer. It comes down to you, you know, who live with us in our community, who decides what it's worth. Why should we let some administrator? You know, it's like the healthcare. They want to control everything.
Well, do you want a Bronx jury deciding your fate?
Okay, what's a cop to do?
No,
Let me ask you a question. What's a cop to do? Like, let's take these cops that are in New Jersey that had to summons that gym that opened up. Yeah. Now, I would imagine that the first day you go to this location, you're probably going to be, you know, Mr. Nice Guy. And then when you leave there, there's going to be a phone call waiting for you. Why didn't you summons them? Why didn't you lock anybody up? And that's your sector. So tomorrow when you go back to work, if they open up, you better do something. Otherwise, you're going to be suspended. Now what?
Well, I told Pam, I was like, tell Ed, tell everyone, if you find anyone that's being retaliated against because they don't want to enforce this, that's me. Give it to me. I will fight that case, file a lawsuit, go after them any way I can. I mean, this is why I love being a lawyer. When I was on the job, they were trying to interrogate me with the GO15 on some bullshit thing that happened with my ex. And so it was outside my geographical area of employment. It was off duty, had nothing to do with the police department, and there were no allegations. So why you have the right to GO me? And I read the thing, and then I started doing some research. I filed my own Article 78, went down to court, served him with it, bullshitted the whole time. You know, I was like, you know, Lieutenant Gary comes in, he's like, you know, we have the right to question you. I'm like, you're messing with a contempt charge. Go ahead if you want, you know. But that's the way you fight back. You've got to get to the courts, you've got to be litigious, and you've got to get in their face and hold them responsible. Watch how fast they'll go, you know what, this guy's fighting me, let me go to the next guy.
Right. What happens to all these lawsuits from the people that feel like they were giving a summons or stopped, harassed by the police because they weren't wearing a mask or because this, that, and the other, and now they're suing the police department? Because, you know, we tend to settle anyway. So, you know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, you're out there doing your job and now you're getting sued.
Yeah, unfortunately. And now it's very disturbing. You see all these, first of all, 50A, that civil rights law that kept all of our personnel records confidential. I think that's going out the window. You know, they're looking to repeal that. There's already websites out there, I don't want to promote it, so I won't say it, where they have so much information about lawsuits, what you earned last year, how much you made, your whole salary thing. There's so much information out there now about police officers. It's really unsettling. And now if they do away with this 50A, you know how the kangaroo court is and how the job is. But, you know, you're going to get found guilty of something no matter what. But now it looks like you're a bad cop because meanwhile, it was just you had a problem with a boss or something, you know?
Well, how can police executives, the upper echelon of the police department, help their cops by, you know, basically telling the mayor, no, we're not going to do that. But they're not. They're doing whatever he says.
That's a nice idea, but the mayor's the chief executive, and rightfully so. If I was the mayor, listen, this is my administration, so I'm going to put the people in place that are going to do the job, you know, and if you're not going to do it, I'm the one that's accountable to the voters. So as much as I dislike the guy, you know, that I would want the same thing. I'd want a guy doing, you know, what I want.
It's disturbing, though, what they will tell the cops to do. I mean, to go into these situations with improper equipment, to go into a major pandemic and you don't have a mask on. And in the beginning of it, I heard they were told not to wear masks because you're scaring the public.
Oh my God.
So, like, you're expendable because we don't want to scare the public, you know?
Right.
They were actually told that. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
It's like the air was safe.
Like Blue Lives Matter kind of masks, and they told them you can't wear those.
Yeah.
What's so offensive about that, you know?
What if you wore a skull and crossbones on it? I'm a pirate.
Yeah, but we're in trouble, and that's why I love this Inside Blue 360. Like, we need to have a voice and get that dialogue out there and start pulling people together to get behind issues and fight for stuff. And, you know, it's a place you can go to learn more information. So I think it's great. You guys,
You know, I'm a bit. I always notice sometimes, you know, patterns in situations. Like I'll give you a quick one. I always thought that the nurse that showed up at Ground Zero packing, she had a firearm on her from out of state. She was licensed, never been arrested in her whole life. I always felt like that was, you know, the NRA sending her in there to break this precedence that we had set up in New York, where it was a mandatory prison sentence for anybody caught with a firearm that wasn't supposed to, illegal firearm. So I don't know whatever happened with her case, but I know for a fact that sometimes those situations are created to break what's trying to become a law or a new law.
I disagree. Maybe that does happen, but it's not that uncommon, and we see it a lot in Queens County because we have 2 airports, and that's something that.
Well, she came down here. She drove down here. It wasn't an airport. That's just. But my point wasn't that. My point was that if you did a counter strike, 10 people walking down the street with no masks, in a group together, and just keep walking past the police until they do something. And then, it's all recorded. And then you just, that's your basis for a lawsuit. We weren't doing anything. We were just walking.
Right.
And we got attacked by the police and whatever, if the thing escalates, it makes for better television too. But it makes for a better lawsuit, because those are strategies that are used, constantly every day,
Look, every cop knows that it's tougher to enforce a discount than it is to grab a robber, because the person that's disorderly is going to fight you to the death, and then when you have to use physical force, you're going to get sued. What did he do? He didn't break the law, right?
Yeah.
Is that not the truth? So now enforce.
Listen, we saw that with Pantaleo. Oh, he was selling loose cigarettes. Why did you have to kill him?
Right.
Put people,
Yeah.
The mayor ordered me to.
That was such an injustice.
That's the problem too. It's like, what to enforce, what not to enforce. I mean, that my hero, the guy, I forget what his name was, the cop, Fernando Garcia, something like that, from he was working in Alphabet City over there. I think he stopped some. There were actually, I think what happened was they were smoking pot. But it wasn't the pot that brought the cops over there. It was the fact that they were smoking pot together. Like, instead of like doing a one hitter, and because they're not gonna bother you for the pot. It was the fact that they were all doing it together. So they try to break up that social distancing, and that escalated into a fight where he had his knee on one guy's neck, which is a great move, by the way.
Yeah.
And then he ran over and he said, "Don't square up on me." Then he slapped the shit out of that guy, put his knee on him. And I love that guy. He can handle himself, that guy.
Now he's modified, though.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but how did that result from a social distancing?
Exactly.
Tell him to break it up.
They shouldn't even be involved in that. I mean, I think it's illegal. It's unconscionable.
You're a cop right now.
Yeah, definitely not right now.
I wouldn't be doing social distancing. I wouldn't be masks. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't pay to get involved in that incident on both ways. Where you fall politically or not, the ramifications of it's never going to end up well for you.
It's never going to end well. And like that Eric Garner case, something so little, social distancing, wearing a mask, going into the subway, could end tragically.
Right.
Who's gonna get caught holding the bag? The poor cop.
Yeah. What's amazing to me, Joe, is that every night I see on Walter Wasilewski's site, people are still making gun collars. I can't believe it. They're still bringing guns in.
Yeah, but you can't take the cop out of people,
I know. I take my hat off to them. Look, I did 6.5 years in plain clothes, a year in street crime. So you don't have to tell me that. But I wasn't under the circumstances they're under right now.
Yeah.
And they're still making gun collars. Unbelievable.
And this whole idea about what's going on, especially around the country. I looked at a video the other day. It was like 1,500 people at a party in Florida. You know what I'm saying? And people go back and forth.
Still going on.
People go back and forth to Florida, driving down there like nothing's going on here. So, I mean, at some point, it's just the ridiculousness of it is just insane, because you really don't know, just going out of your house, if you can get it, who this person is that you're dealing with. Did they just come back from that party in Florida? That was great. It was 1,500 people until they got broken up by the cops.
Right.
And then you go to Williamsburg and they closed down a school. Like those people, God bless them, the Hasids, they're so secular. They just do what the fuck they want to do. Like they don't care what's going on. They're still going to school. They still have classes.
I would represent them. I would represent them. They have a right to do it. They have a right. I wish these churches would call me. How dare you shut down a church and tell?
I know that's Department of Justice is looking into that right now.
I mean that's the holy sacraments of the church. Like
yeah, even drive up ones, the people were summoned.
How
like,
do you do
the drive up? What's the problem right now?
I don't get it.
What is the agenda right now?
Unconstitutional, 100%, 100%. If doctors are in the hospitals and they're wearing masks and they're fine, why can't we wear a mask and go to church? I don't get it. And if you're not comfortable in the United States, you have the freedom to walk out. You have that right.
You don't have to be there. You don't have to go.
This should not be happening.
We're being treated like babies right now, and we shouldn't be, because the person that you probably will affect if you do get infected from being, from not being cautious, is probably going to be somebody in your family when you go home, and nobody wants to do that.
But that's where, unless you have someone who's lacks the capacity at home to help themselves or protect themselves, we all know what's going on. There is not a person on this earth that doesn't know what's happening. So if I have some vulnerable person at home, we'll have that conversation and we'll talk about it and we'll take preventative measures. I mean, that's what responsible people do. And then if you don't do that, then that's your fault. It's not the government's fault. Why is it the government's fault? I mean, you can't fix stupid with some people. I just can't.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a tough sell to tell people to stay home and they can't go to the beach when it's 95 degrees in the middle of June.
It's not going to happen. I got to tell you, we need to just on a united front, pick a date, say like 4th of July. That's our drop date, man. That's our drop dead date. Everything.
You think this New York State's still going to be closed on July 4th?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're going to drag this out. Look what he did with the hospitals, with the nursing homes now, the elderly in the hospitals. If you have COVID in a hospital, you can't leave that hospital until you test negative. So
some people stay positive for months.
But honestly, that's what he's
doing. So you're going to move in there? That's going to.
And the criteria to open up is your hospital capacity. So he's artificially inflating the hospital capacities by forcing people to stay there. That's outrageous.
Well, in the beginning, I think what the problem was that once you got better, he was sending you. They couldn't save the hospital bed, so you'd quarantine in a nursing home.
Well, they would readmit you. You would go there to get stabilized and then go back. But the nursing homes were saying, no, we can't handle them because we're overrun.
Or because we have very sick people.
They wouldn't send them to the Javits Center. They wouldn't put them on the comfort. They said, no, you have to take them. That's criminal. I mean, that's just absolutely criminal. When a nursing home says, I can't handle any more of these people, I have a vulnerable population, and you force them to take them, that's outrageous.
Yeah, in hindsight, when you think about it, I know what they wanted to do was give the COVID patients the hospital and everybody else put on the boat and Javits Center. They didn't ever have enough people to sustain these makeshift hospitals. When it should have been the other way around. They should have put the COVID people out of the way, put those on the hospital. They can stay there wherever they want. You want to run around the boat for 2 weeks, go nuts, check it out.
They should have had that boat doing a cruise around Manhattan.
I know.
But really, if you know that our vulnerable population are the elderly in our population, that should have been priority number one. They should have been social distance. They should have been spread out. Put them on the comfort, put them in the Javits Center. But instead, he was more worried about the jails and the prisons.
Yeah, that was important.
Too closely confined there because he didn't give a shit about the elderly.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what? Wouldn't be such a big problem too, if everybody just can admit that, hey, listen, we didn't really know what was going on. Mistakes were made. We wish we could have done it better. We saved as many lives as we could. But what happened is, because this thing is so politicized, that if I'm going to bash Trump for starting, a week late or 2 weeks late, whatever it was that they're claiming that they should have started, then obviously I'm going to pass the buck. I'm going to blame somebody else for the deaths in the nursing home. So it's just like back and forth, instead of everybody just saying, yo, listen, we're trying our best. And that would be a unified country doing that.
I just see it a little different when it comes to these guys, because I look at it just, in the context of what it is. We have a third-term governor who sat back and watched hospitals closing and closing and closing year after year without thinking, hey, we were the #1 terrorist target. We got hit at 9/11. We have first responders today who are still suffering and dying because they didn't have proper equipment. We better make sure that we can handle something if it happens. He did nothing. We have a third-term governor and a second-term mayor pointing fingers at a first-term president,
Right.
blaming him why they're not prepared.
Well, that's the truth, though. They
He
get
does a good PowerPoint presentation.
Your budget is your budget. You're allowed to do whatever you want with your budget. And if you allocate some money on the side towards PPEs or whatever you need, ventilators, God forbid something happens. But nobody ever was doing that. They were always hedging their bets and spending the money on some other nonsense.
We're in New York City. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen here.
Right.
How are we not prepared?
How are your police not prepared? How do they not have masks?
How do you not?
Gloves?
My daughter working in a hospital, they said you can only have one mask for the week.
Yeah, a joke.
Working in the hospital with infected people.
Yeah.
That's outrageous. They should all be fired. I mean, any one of these guys.
But yet he does his presentation every day, and you see all the comments from people across the country. Oh, he's wonderful. What a leader. Oh, they
I
don't
just
know he's
don't
governor
get
for
it.
10
I mean,
years.
am I making any sense? A third-term governor who's lived here his whole life.
Yeah.
He watched these hospitals close. Are you not thinking, if there's a disaster, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna blame Trump.
Yeah.
I'll blame Trump. And people are buying it. That's what I just can't fathom. Why can't we look at the context of what's really happening here? Shocking.
Well, it's good that we have somebody like you who's taking the initiative and taking on these big time lawsuits and has a good head on their shoulders. And hopefully, some of these, conditions will be corrected and it won't happen again in the future. That's the best you could hope for.
Yeah.
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't see great things happening in New York in the future because the electorate is so bad. They're going to elect another clown as mayor in 2 years.
Yeah.
There's 3 guys in line. I don't even want to mention their names to inflate their value, but they keep electing these progressives that are just destroying this city. And it took 30 years for the crime to go down 70% in New York City. It'll take 5 for it to jack back up. And it's starting to go up again.
It is. It is. I hear a lot of people that are telling me, oh, you should run for this, you should run for that. I'm getting out with the tomato, in with the potato, I'm hearing that stuff. I have no interest whatsoever. The one job I want, and I wanted, was the district attorney, because that is the most powerful job. I don't care, governor, mayor. If I was governor and I had to deal with that legislature, nothing would get done. We'd be fighting left and right. It would be completely useless. But as district attorney, with grand jury subpoena power and have my own team, DA squad going after corruption, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, but how would you fare right now in a situation where you know, with this bail reform. The district attorneys, they don't really have any say so. It's the law. They got to follow that.
Right. We have to deal with, play the cards that were dealt. But as far as the corruption that's going on, I can't stand to see this mayor continually appointing his wife and giving her budgets. And what are her qualifications? She got $1 billion for that Thrive NYC. Where's the results of that? Oh, let's give her another job. Let's give her another budget. I want to investigate that. Nobody's investigating it. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to be the person checking into all this stuff. I mean, the governor with all his stuff. Just give me that one little job. Trust me, I will make things happen.
All right. Well, what do you think, Bill? I think we covered a lot of stuff tonight.
I don't know, Joe. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because there has to be a checks and balances against this government and against this governor. And the usual people that are on the ACLU and these people that cry when someone, steps on a tack, they're unheard. They're not being heard from, because it's their guy,
It's too close to home.
It's just incredible.
You can't fight for people's rights who their right is going against what what you're fighting for, Yeah, so it's
sadly, but
hey, there's a petition or something that you need signed, or is there something like that out there we could share with people?
I have to wait. Melinda Katz is likely to run for mayor. I don't know of any other women who are running, so if she wins, then that spot is vacated. I'll run again. I'm looking forward to it. I just can't see myself. After I lost the election, she was the borough president. So by winning the election, she vacated the office. So everybody kept telling me, "Oh, listen, you should run for borough president. You're already out there. You have your team. You do it." To do what? What does the borough president do? Cut ribbons, walk around, go. What do they do? I don't want to do that. I want to do and make a difference and do the job to make this a better place. I don't want to go to parties and cut ribbons, and I don't know what I still to this day don't know what the borough president does.
He doesn't do anything. That's why.
So if you're a cop out there and you're being asked to do something that you don't believe in, or you get reprimanded by your boss and you feel like it's in retaliation to not following through on a specific order, if they're retaliating against you, give Joe Murray a call. Do you have a website there?
Mike, it's what is it? J Murray.
You can't even remember.
I can't remember. I feel like Joe Biden. It's JMURRAY-LAW.com. J Murray.
That's your email, and that's your website too.
That's my website. I gotta just check to make sure.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, you should write it on your hand, like when you used to take tests. Remember?
But it's so funny because is that right?
Yeah, Jay Murray.
So my office is right across the street from the courthouse, and it's so funny because I used to be a cop in Queens. So, there were a couple of DAs that are still there that I encountered while I was on patrol. But there was a little coffee shop to the side over there, and every morning I would go in for my breakfast, and whatever cops were there, I would just pay the bill and walk out, because I know cops panic, especially now with corruption stuff. So, and I just felt like these poor cops, the way they're being treated, that whole water bucket dumping nonsense that was going on, I was so disgusted.
Now you got that lawyer money, man.
What's that?
You got that lawyer money.
It was just, I just really felt I gotta do something for the cops. When the opportunity arose to run, I really just got behind that, and I can't speak enough about Pantaleo. I mean, I dissected that video. We were all on the job. When somebody's getting a couple extra shots and there's some personal animus, That guy was the ultimate professional. He was calm. He was disinterested altogether. He's walking around. He's not even looking. It wasn't that they were in each other's face. He took down this 350-pound man in seconds. Seconds, got up and walked away. He wasn't there to hurt him.
No.
And this is what they do to him. I will call out cops when I think they're wrong, but that was so upsetting to me to watch what he went through.
Well, that was brilliant, man. That's brilliant the way you put it. We got your name. We got it out there. Hopefully you'll come back and join us again.
Hold on, I want to talk a few things. Mark and I have been doing this police off the cuff after hours on Zoom, obviously, because we haven't been back in the studio. We're going to be going back into the studio in a week or two. And Police Off the Cuff is the best kick-ass podcast on Inside Blue. Not only on Inside Blue, it's one of the best. We were chosen as the fourth up-and-coming law enforcement podcast in the country.
I heard fourth in the whole nation.
Yeah, so we'll blow our horns, right? But we're going to be busting out. We're going to be driven around by Victoria's Secret models and Cadillac Escalades soon, you know? But it's Inside Blue 360. If you're a cop and you have a great story and you want to come on the show, let us know. Just email us at insideblue360.com. Pam Leone, you can talk to her. If you have a great story, we're willing to talk to you. Got anything to say, Mark?
I want to thank Joe for once again being a guest on our show. It was very informative. You pumped me up. I have nothing but respect for you. You're a brave guy, and I hope that that more people jump on this and start realizing what's happening right now to us, and that we're losing our freedoms.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get you back in studio, Joe, in a not too distant future.
Absolutely. Things are going to happen quick with this case, so there'll be a lot.
I hope so. I hope so. We want to have you back, and we'll talk about it some more.
Fantastic.
You know, on the bottom of the screen here, it actually has your email address, joe@joejmurray-law.com. So it pops up there. Yeah. All right. So on behalf of Police Off the Cuff, I want to say thank you for tuning in again. Those of you who did. Bill, I'll talk to you again tomorrow or later on tonight. And thanks again, Joe.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks, everyone, for watching, for listening. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, Katie said she turned in. That's my. I'm like Joe Biden.
Go to Off the Cuff. Can you see
What the
it?
fuck is this? Robert Fantone and Jose Medina.